This episode of Moving Panels is brought to you by the following fake sponsor. Buckle up, citizens. It's time to soar with Superfly Airlines, where every flight is a super adventure. Our superhero pilots ensure a turbulence-free journey faster than a speeding bullet. No more delays, just heroic landings and direct flights to your destination. Enjoy exclusive superhero entertainment and swift travel, because your time is as precious as vibranium. Fly with Superfly Airlines, where even the sky isn't the limit. No capes are required, but they're always welcome. Welcome to this Moving Panels One Shot. Let's have a nerdy little conversation, and we're going to do a bracket. Hey, it's always fun to do a bracket, and this one we are going to talk about what we think here at Moving Panels is the best superpower. And so I've got two other of my co-hosts joining me to make this decision. First off, we have Mr. Justin Baker. How are you, Justin?
Good, Larry. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm very interested to see where we go on this, because I don't think we've ever discussed this type of stuff before. So I don't know what y'all's thoughts are.
And this is my first bracket, and all I got to say is if blinking to change the channel is not on here, I'm going to be upset.
Well, I can tell you who this is not the first bracket for, and that's the other co-host from Pop Culture Roulette. Please welcome the bracket master, Nicholas Pepin.
I heard the word bracket, and I came running with super speed.
There you go. So a little hint there maybe as to one of your favorite superpowers?
Absolutely not. It's not a hint.
All right, so let me let everybody know how we came up with this bracket. So I found an article on CBR of the most, what they considered the top 40 superpowers. Now, my bracket would only go to 32, so we're just doing the top 32, but it is the top 32 according to CBR. And we're going to go with that. I will say all three of us right before recording did discuss we do not agree with this list at all in terms of the way they rank them. But I used their ranking to determine our seating. So that is how this was laid out. Any thoughts either of you want to say before we get going?
No.
Let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it with our first one up here. We have self-resurrection. So this is be like Doomsday. You know, once he dies, he comes back and he cannot be killed that same way again. Going up against shape-shifting. So like Mystique for shape-shifting. So Justin, I'll let you, since this is your first one, I'll let you choose first.
So with the self-regeneration or the self-resurrection, you said it has to be like if I die from a gunshot, I cannot die from a gunshot ever again.
That's the way it works with Doomsday.
Yeah. I haven't really thought about that one too much, but I grew up reading the books Animorphs, and though I think I'm going to have to go with shapeshifting, because I always wanted to be a shapeshifter in middle school. All
right. How about you, Nicholas?
I did not grow up with Animorphs. I'm a little bit older than that. However, I do think I'm going to go shapeshifting. It does seem like a much more fun power. Self-regeneration, that is all right, I guess, but it's just so similar to other powers that, like, shapeshifting is the way to go. That and Mystique,
Yeah, my thing about the self-resurrection is, even though this is, just to go ahead and reveal, this is what CBR said was number one. And I mean, it would be cool to have that, but that still means you die. Like, your power does not take effect until you die. Like, you have to die.
And I feel like you would have to feel every bit of pain from your death, too.
I'd rather, if I had to choose, and I get that shapeshifting is not going to prevent me from dying, but I want to be able to use my power is kind of what I'm going with here.
That is also a good point. Yeah, I mean,
So, yeah. So I'm going with shapeshifting. So that was a clean sweep there. All right, next up, we've got telepathy. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Going up against super strength. Another one that kind of basic. So telepathy or super strength. We'll go in reverse order this time. So Nicholas, how about you?
I think I'd rather be have super strength than telepathy. I mean, telepathy would be cool, but super strength would just be much more convenient at my job than
Yeah.
just pick
So
things up. Yeah.
I guess yeah, it would depend on what you do because I'm gonna be honest. And this is why I'm gonna jump in before Justin speaks. I'm gonna go with telepathy, but I think like you said with like your job, with me being a teacher, which could sway Justin a little bit. I think telepathy would be very useful in the job. Being able to mess with people's minds. I guess I would say, good or bad. so so I'm going with telepathy. So how about you, Justin? Break that tie.
So super strength was in kind of my top choices to begin with. But then I kind of really thought about what if I had super strength? And I kind of realized having super strength is kind of like owning a truck. As soon as you get it, everybody's going to want you to move stuff for them. First time I had my truck, within weeks, I had people call me, hey, can you pick this up? Can you move this for me? Hey, I need this boulder
Yep.
moved over here in my yard. So I'm going to go with telepathy.
You know what?
That's
You make a good point.
yeah, that was a good argument.
As somebody who used to own a truck, I know this.
Yeah, that was a good argument. All
uh,
right, so telepathy. All right, next up we have gravity manipulation. How this is even on the list just amazed me. But yeah, gravity manipulation, which for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there is what is the name of that villain? Graviton, I think is his name. You've got Graviton, which pretty much he controls gravity. That's it. So yeah, you can make a person fly. You can make them stuck to the ground so they can't move. You can pick things up. I guess. Uh, and we're going up against energy constructs. So this would be like Green Lantern making his constructs from his ring. So something along those lines, or I guess you would also maybe Miss Marvel and the way that Miss Marvel's powers in the MCU, the way those kind of work. So that would be an energy construct. So we got gravity manipulation versus energy construct. Based off of what you just heard me say, clearly I'm going to go energy construct. So Justin, how about you?
Yeah, definitely energy construct. It's a superpower I think I could be very creative with. You could just have a lot of fun. Gravity, I feel like I'm going to get bored with it pretty easily.
you are 100% correct that manipulation was way too high on this list. This is
Yes.
definitely one of the ones that we were talking at, well, that I don't think we talked about it directly, but that I was hinting at. Energy construct is you're only limited by your imagination, which,
Exactly. Yeah.
is way more fun and, creative than, ooh, look at me, I can raise and lower things.
I totally agree. So we got a clean sweep there for energy construct. So yeah, so far in 2 of these rounds, we have 100% gone completely against CBR's ranking. Technically, in all 3 we have, but telepathy and super strength were only one spot away from each other, so it wasn't that big of a difference. All right, next up we have force fields. So Sue Storm comes to mind there with her ability to kind of create a force field. Who else does force fields?
I mean, you have various different varieties of force fields. I mean, Scarlet Witch can do them, but that's for a different power.
Yeah, see, that's where some of this becomes, in my opinion, becomes a little confusing because it's like, well, you kind of have that power if you have this power, and so that's where I get a little confused. Because you could say the same thing about Green Lantern. We have the energy construct. Well, we can make a quote unquote force field out of that energy construct. So, all right, so we got that, and that's going up against omnilingualism. Easy for me to say. Pretty much the ability to speak any language is what that one is. So, Nicholas, I'll let you.
I mean,
call
this is
this
a
one first.
battle of 2 relatively lame powers because so many people have, the ability to create force fields with other powers. Omnilingualism could be fun. I mean, it'd make life a lot easier. When you go on vacation, you just automatically speak and understand whatever language you come across. So, I mean, that would be a highly useful power in real life.
Agreed.
So, that's where my vote's going to be.
Okay. Justin, how about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. It's just a very useful real world power. You can definitely get a job as a teacher, teaching every single language, no matter what. Get a job at the UN, but also in like a comic book, that could be very much the character somebody goes to for help. Hey, we need transcribing this ancient language.
Yeah.
So I think I would have more fun with it than just being able to put up force fields.
I agree. I'm right there with both of you. Again, my thing against force fields, like I said, is like we just had energy constructs go through, and to me, that's force field. Uh, Telekinesis, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty much a force field. So there's force field could just be in so many other superpowers that I'd like to go with something that's different. So I'm with you on that, and that is the first time we have agreed with CBR in terms of which one of those two was better. All right, next up, we've got magnetokinesis. I'll say it right. So the ability to control or magnetism, like Magneto, and that is going up against power absorption, parasite, I guess you could say, or maybe rogue. Being able to absorb powers, and I guess we could imply that it means you get stronger or you get that ability. I wouldn't see why not. So I would say that is. I will say that is a factor. So you absorb power and you can actually gain that ability.
So like Mega Man in the video game.
Yeah. So what say you, Justin?
I was actually gonna go with whatchamacallit, Magneto's
Uh-huh.
power. But you kind of swayed me with the if I can absorb your power, then I get to use it. Um, the only downside I'm thinking from a real world application here, just my teacher brain, I feel like power absorption, the only downfall would be I would need another superhero or
Yeah.
supervillain to absorb their power.
Really, Rogue only has powers because she absorbed so much from Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel, that she killed her. Of course, no one ever says dead in comics, but that's the reason Rogue can fly and Rogue has super strength. Before that, Rogue had no ability unless she had touched someone, and then again, it is limited.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the downside. It only lasts for so long.
So
That was just like I forgot the character's name, but that main character in the show Heroes, like that was his ability. He had to be close to another superhero, and he would gain their power as long as he was next to them.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go with. I think I'll go with power absorption, actually. So, yeah, I think I can go the rest of my life wearing gloves and just not touching people.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I'm torn because I mean the idea that I could just absorb anybody's power and use it, I guess it would depend on like length of time I get to use it. Like do I have to touch them? Do I have to be near them? It's just a lot of variables. I'm gonna go with magnets. That way I can just control metal and do fun stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. And Justin didn't really sway my thought. The fact that power absorption, yeah, it's not really you having a power the way I look at it. And like you're saying, Nicholas, there's so many issues with having that power. Whether it is like Rogue, you cannot make human contact with anyone for the rest of your life, or whether it's you don't have powers unless you're close to somebody and can touch them. And then again, like you said, it's how far do you have to be? Like, could you be in the middle of flying and then all of a sudden you start falling because they got too far away or because your time ran out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's too much against power absorption. So I'm going with that as well. All right, next up, mystical prowess. That's a very interesting way of putting that, but essentially it means you can do magic. So Zatanna, Doctor Fate, Doctor Strange. So mystical prowess, or you have magical abilities against reality warping. You mentioned Black Widow earlier.
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch. Yeah.
Oh yes, Scarlet Witch. Sorry. So we have that. So, huh?
I mean, in my view, that's I mean, especially like the Scarlet Witch, like isn't that basically the same power, like reality warping as well as magical prowess? Like,
Well, I guess. Yeah, that's actually there's a good argument
But
against that.
wouldn't magical prowess more just be creating and exchanging? Taking something and then like getting rid of something to make it something else. I kind of feel like reality warping is you're changing the very fiber of everything.
Yeah. So to separate them, because I'm actually kind of agreeing with you, Nicholas. But I would say maybe to separate them, maybe reality warping would be more like what Eve does in Invincible.
okay,
She can't make a portal. At least I've never known of Eve to make a portal, which, Doctor Strange, Doctor Fate, all of them would be able to do. But again, she does have the ability to now all of a sudden the ground underneath you is, mud. But yeah, they are very similar.
yeah, I think I'm gonna go magical prowess. I think you have more variety and
Yeah,
it's just
possibly more options
yeah,
there. Yeah.
it's just a little bit stronger than reality warping because in my book it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
slight difference, but
Yeah, but I think my own argument talked me into that as well. So yeah, I'm going with that too. Anything you want to say, Justin, or you want to
Uh,
make it a clean sweep,
yeah,
or
let's go clean sweep. Plus, when you get washed up, you can always go to LA or Las Vegas and do magic shows.
well, yeah, because Zatanna would actually be in there in terms of someone with mystical prowess. All right, next up we've got super speed. Pretty much self-explanatory there. Going up against elemental control. So Flash going up against Storm is the way we're looking at this. I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm going with super speed. Not saying that controlling the weather wouldn't be nice, but I think there's just not enough usefulness in that. So I'm going with super speed.
I'm going to counter you,
Okay.
and I'm going to go with elemental control. My only downside I see really to super speed, as much as I would love it, is, and Larry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, most speedsters don't they have to eat more? Like their metabolism is so fast. They have to do all this stuff
It
to kind of
depends
keep
on
up. And
it
that,
depends. I mean, even the Flashes have been inconsistent with that. Like Barry Allen doesn't have the high metabolism in the comics. That was something that got picked up by Wally West
okay.
in terms of burning off the calories and having the high
Mhm.
metabolism. So he would have to, and that was really just to give him a weakness, is what it was. So
Yeah, I think that would just be my only downside to super speed. And plus, I could play the villain here and have people pay me to have good weather or bad weather.
so you would be the weather wizard
Yes,
instead of
absolutely.
Storm. Yeah. All right. How about you, Nicholas?
man, of course you got to make me decide here.
Mhm.
I mean, super speed, very nice. Being able to go wherever you want super quickly, not having to
Yeah.
deal with the airport.
That's with me because I'm a person who is habitually late for things. So super speed is very useful for
Yeah,
me.
that would be it. And I mean, right now though, living in Wisconsin, weather control would be nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Look. Me and Justin are in
Yeah,
Georgia, and I'm
yeah.
sure we would love a white Christmas.
Yes,
So
please, lower the humidity in the summer.
Yeah, there's that. Man, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go super speed though. I think ultimately, like, it's a cooler superpower overall. I
yeah.
mean, it's not. I'm not saying that I'm gonna vote for super speed a lot. I know I made that joke earlier, but but yeah, no. I think in this case, I'm gonna go super speed.
Yeah. Y'all enjoy your super speed while I whip up a ice storm to slow y'all down.
All right. Next up, we've got two very, very strange ones. So the first one is cosmic awareness. I am going to have to go with what CBR is saying this is. So, cosmic awareness serves as a reliable form of intuitive precognition and lets its beneficiaries steer the course of events if they can filter the nearly infinite knowledge pouring into their minds. So, Nicolas Cage in Next. That's completely random reference there. So the Watcher. That would probably be. So the Watcher, he has cosmic. He's aware of everything and all things. I guess kind of like being omniscient is what this is kind of also saying. All right, so we've got that, and that is going up against matter manipulation. So matter manipulation, which this is actually what according to CBR, this is what Eve has, or Dr. Manhattan. So it allows them to alter the world around them. So I guess the way they're differing that from reality is they're not changing like the way life is, where all of a sudden now this person has a son instead of a daughter, but being able to create something from something else or create something out of nothing or along those lines. That's what I think we're going. So like Firestorm, Firestorm has the ability to change matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think that cosmic awareness might be one of the lamest powers on the list. Like, yep, I know stuff. Like, the Watcher has always been like, I mean, I know that everybody loves Uatu and, he's all great and what if and whatnot, but it's so like he just sits around like, oh, well, I know everything. You're not actually
Yeah.
doing anything with it.
Well, and then if you go off the Disney Plus series, there's always something he didn't know or something that surprises him, which
Right, yeah.
completely negates that ability.
Yeah, but matter manipulation, I think, would be infinitely more entertaining to have as a power.
I agree. So unless Justin, you want to make an argument for cosmic awareness?
Absolutely not. It sounds like a terrible. I'd rather have the eye blinking, channel changing power than that. Knowing what everybody's doing every single time and, not really being able to do anything about it sounds terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I could watch, but I cannot become involved. All right. Next up, we have self-sustenance. So like being able to breathe in space or breathe underwater, or I can only think of being able to breathe. So
maybe like not eating or not having
yeah.
to eat.
So no need to eat or sleep.
Is that
or
the Silver Surfer? I think I read on there.
Yeah, Silver Surfer again. Dr. Manhattan.
So if you were trapped on an island like Tom Hanks in Castaway,
yeah,
perfect superpower.
So self-sustenance, which I'm going to go ahead and say CBR had ranked as number 3, but that is going up against electrical manipulation. So like Electro or Black Lightning. And to me, that's just cooler. So I'm going with electrical manipulation. Just for the sheer fact it's just cooler.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree, and especially if my electrical powers can, help lower my electric bill, that's even greater.
as I say, self-sustenance mean I wouldn't have to eat anymore, and I wouldn't have to go to the grocery store. But being able to just zap things with the electricity is way more fun.
Yeah, I've also got to say, yeah, you'd save the money because you wouldn't have to eat, but at the same time, there's so much food that is just so good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess you could still enjoy the food, even though you don't need the food, but yeah, that just seems a little dull to me. So, all right, electrical manipulation it is. Next up, we have time travel, and that is going up against having a healing factor or regenerative ability.
Oh man,
These are actually two pretty good ones.
This is a tough one.
Yeah, so we went from two super lame ones to two good ones.
Question about the time travel. Are we talking about Back to the Future time travel where I can't interact with myself, or is this Marvel time travel where none of that matters?
I think this is just in general time travel. Like I think I think it's just in general time travel. I don't want to get into the head canon that would be like,
that's a
do you
that's
affect
that's
things?
that's a
That's a
whole
different
nother
one
one
shot.
shot.
So I would just say, just flat out being able to travel through time, forwards, backwards, a few seconds, whatever.
Yeah, I can get the ball rolling on this one. I'm gonna go time travel as a history teacher. Being able to go back and see the things that I've taught would just be amazing.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and speak up, and I'm going the healing factor regeneration because again, my head hurts whenever I think about time travel. So I love seeing time travel. I love time travel movies, but then when I really start, so having that ability, I don't know if I'd want it. So I'm going with the ability to heal or regenerate.
I mean, from just a purely personal perspective, as a 45-year-old man who's had multiple knee surgeries and hand surgeries, and the idea that I could just be healed by thinking about it, or it just happened on its own. As much as I do, I mean, Back to the Future is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah,
I do love a good time travel movie. I would love to go through time, even though I know it's philosophically impossible.
yeah,
But right now, I would much rather have the healing ability that Wolverine
I
has.
I agree. Because yeah, again, the idea of could I change the future if I go back and do something, the whole butterfly effect thing, even if I don't intentionally do something, or the idea of if I go into the future and then I come back, like what do I tell people? Like what information do I share? It would just mess with my head too much. So, all right, next up, could be another interesting one. We got flight versus teleportation. I don't think I have to explain either one of these. I'm gonna have to think about this one for a minute. So, who wants to go first?
This is another one of those where it's almost this. I mean, I know it's different, but it's almost the same. Like,
Well, see, and okay, so let me tell you where my brain's starting to go already. So with teleportation, again, do we have to think about some limitations? So, for instance, are you one of those types of teleporters where you have to be able, like they've done with Nightcrawler, like the movie Jumper even did with this, like
Mhm.
you can only teleport to places you know or you can see?
True. Yeah, that's what I was
Um,
thinking.
yeah,
yeah, I
Like
guess
you've been there before.
that would be the limitations to teleportation. So flight would be much more entertaining.
but then flight, just to play devil's advocate for flight, do you have the self sustainability? You know, how high can you go? How fast can you go?
You can fly, but you can only fly 2 inches off the ground.
Because I mean, to be honest, unless you had invulnerability, I would assume that if you fly flew too fast, you'd start ripping your own flesh off. So
Hmm.
uh, I think that argument
Yeah.
of myself just made me choose teleportation. No matter what the conditions were. Like if I could only teleport to places that I've been to before, or only places that I can see, because I at least know that's my ability, and so I'm kind of talking against my own argument, and so but I'm not going super fast, or I'm not going to places that I can't necessarily breathe. I'm going to stick with teleportation still, though.
Yeah, teleportation. I'll buy your argument. I'll I'll sign up for that.
Yeah, I mean, I might be a Superman fan, but I think teleportation. I mean, again, if it's just anywhere I've been before, again, going back to that super speed thing, if I could just go, all right, need to be at school now, boom, I'm at school, then yay. And I get there a lot faster than if I could fly. So,
True. I was going to go with flight, but Laramie, you kind of switched me over, especially on am I going to peel my skin off? Or is my flight only going to be, oh, you can fly, but you can only go 2 miles an hour,
yeah.
or 2 inches off the ground. So, yeah, I think even with the limitations, teleportation's better.
Because, yeah, we do have to think a lot of the superheroes that can fly, there's something that protects them. Superman and Wonder Woman are pretty much invincible. Green Lantern always has the construct around him
Mhm.
that is kind of self-sustaining him. So, all right, next up, I'm just gonna say it. We got Ant-Man versus Aquaman. So size changing versus hydrokinesis. So your ability to change your size, I would assume both ways. So going up or down, getting bigger or getting smaller, and then your ability to control water.
Well, since I don't live anywhere near the water and live up in the mountains, I'm going to go with size changing. Just seems more fun. I can scare people and then get real small and run away. So I think it's a little more fun of a power to have.
I mean, Ant-Man is infinitely cooler than Aquaman. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think you're highly limited with hydrokinesis. I mean, I guess you could control water coming out of a faucet, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Ant-Man, I like the shrinking and getting big and all of the fun that could be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with both of you on that. Hydrokinesis, I think, just has its limitations, and without knowing, what those limits are, again, size changing, I think works better. All right, next up, we've got probability manipulation. This is another one that I was amazed was as high as it was. They had it ranked 7. For those of you who don't know what probability manipulation is, this is what Domino has in X-Men. She's just lucky. Like, this is just the power to be lucky. Or maybe even to cause someone else to have bad luck. So there's been a lot of both heroes and villains who have had this power, and that's going up against invisibility. I'm going invisibility right off the bat. I've always thought it'd be cool to be invisible. Miles Morales can go invisible, and if they're going to give Spider-Man a power, and that's the one they decide to go with, invisibility, then it's got to be cool. But yeah, the ability to like get out of a situation without anyone knowing, without making it awkward.
But also, I'm going to jump in here. You could also get out of that situation by being lucky. So I'm going to
True.
go with probability because sometimes it's just better to be lucky than be good. And kind of as a coach, and Laramy, me and you, we both know how terrible our football team is. So we need all the luck we can get. So I'm going to go probability.
Man, I mean,
So you got to break it there, Nicholas.
yeah, be lucky. I mean, I automatically like. I think both of these superpowers automatically turn me into a supervillain. Um,
True.
as much as I want to say that I'm a good person, I think if I have some sort of luck powers, everything I would just be playing the lottery and I would win
Just
the
going to
lot.
Las
Mm.
Vegas. Yeah.
Just walk into Las Vegas and walk out with everything. And then invisibility, well, that would be fun.
Yeah. Almost the same thing. You just get a partner, and then you're moving the ball on the roulette table while he's
Yeah.
making the bets.
Oh man, when you first brought it up, I was gonna vote invisibility, but man, now I'm thinking luck powers. But I think I'm gonna go with my original one, invisibility.
Yeah, that one. The more Justin talked, I kind of didn't think probability manipulation was as bad as it sounded. So you made a good argument, but we're still going with invisibility on that one. Next up, we have immortality. So the ability to not die, going up against chlorokinesis, aka control plants and wildlife. So poison ivy, swamp thing, Groot.
I don't know about y'all, but immortality just kind of sounds like a terrible power to have. You really don't get to do anything with it. You just know you're never going to die. So does that mean, at the end of the world, you're still around on a barren wasteland?
Pretty
So I
much,
think I'm
yeah.
going to go with plant control. Be able to move plants around, basically be poison ivy. Sounds like a fun power to have.
Yeah, honestly, that was gonna be the exact same argument that I made. Immortality actually sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I guess if you're a superhero and like you have a lot of the other powers or you have more powers, then it would be a good thing to have because then you would never die and you're always there. But like, I don't know if I want to be around, you know, 2, 3, 4, 500 years. If no, Yeah,
You're
like
like a
if
Highlander.
everyone else I know doesn't have immortality, like I don't necessarily know if I want to be around for that, you know? So plant
Yeah.
control. I'd rather be Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. So this is gonna be a clean slate on that. Yeah, immortality. There's just been, you got shows like, I don't know if any of y'all remember the show Forever with Ian Gruffold,
Vaguely, yeah.
where he was a guy who was immortal. Of course, you got the Highlander series, um, and then yeah, there's always, I mean, vampire stuff. There's always the, you having to go through your life pretty much alone is what you have to do, because any close relationships you're gonna have, they're gonna get older and you're not. All right, next up we've got invulnerability against telekinesis. I think everybody knows what those two are. So you cannot be injured or hurt versus you can move things with your mind. I'm just gonna say telekinesis because I can actually do something with it. I think's the way I'm thinking of it. Whereas invulnerability, that's just more of a defensive power. Um, yeah, I can't get injured, but
Hmm.
I was about to say, but then how do I help people? And then I remembered, oh yeah, David Dunn in
Hmm.
Unbreakable. That's literally his power is invulnerability.
Hmm.
So, although they do give him the other power of being able to see people's crimes.
Yeah, if I don't have the Luke Cage super strength to go along with the invulnerability, like there's just nothing to it.
Yeah, but are you like David Dunn in Unbreakable, where you do kind of have super strength because your bones will not break.
Yeah.
True.
So there's nothing you can't lift.
I don't know. I think I'm still gonna go telekinesis.
Yeah. I think moving stuff with my mind is still going to be more fun to have.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I love the character of David Dunn and Unbreakable Glass and all, but yeah, again, I'd rather be able to do something with my powers, and telekinesis allows me to do that. So going with that, and then final for round 2, and then we start narrowing it down more. Enhanced senses, so like Daredevil. I guess you don't have to be blind though, but enhanced senses against power nullification. So to me, this is similar to that power absorption, except you don't get the power. You just prevent anyone else from having powers. And again, this was ranked number 2 on their list.
Really
Yeah.
is.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
going with enhanced senses. I
Yeah.
mean,
Absolutely. I mean,
that's, to me, that's a no-brainer, even though these are complete. Again, this was number 2, power nullification, against number 31 on their
because
list, enhanced
I
senses.
think the argument's been made with some of the other ones. Power nullification, it does you no good if you're not around anybody else. Like you're
It does,
just
yeah,
living your
mhm.
normal life. Like you know, who knows if you're actually doing anything or not.
yeah. And I'm sorry, if if my power was power nullification, and if I was in a fight with Wolverine, Wolverine's going to be able
Yeah,
to kick
Mhm.
my butt. Enhanced senses, I might have, it might cause me to have better reflexes, something that gives me at least some chance. Power nullification, I got no chance other than if I hurt him, he's not going to heal. That's going to be it. He's still going to have his claws because that's not a power. So
and
yeah,
Yeah.
he's still got
definitely going with
Absolutely.
enhanced
he's still
senses.
got decades or hundreds of years of fight knowledge that
Hmm.
I don't have.
Exactly. So definitely going with that. All right, here we go. Next round, we're going to start narrowing this down. We got shape shifting against telepathy.
I feel like if I had telepathy, I would become a supervillain, unfortunately. So for the
You wouldn't with shape shifting though?
I feel like if I just did shapeshifting, I would just be a wild animal and just go out in the woods or turn into a fish and go into the ocean. So I'm gonna go shapeshifting. I think it'd just be more fun for me to go and explore and do stuff and become an eagle, soar in the sky.
I'm going telepathy. Again, as I said earlier, I think it's more useful being able to hear what people think, make people believe certain things if you're looking at telepathy that way. Shapeshifting's cool, but it's not, other than it's a good ability to be able to hide and disguise, but it's not really a power, and that's kind of the way I'm looking at it.
Hmm. I hear the argument on both sides. I like the argument on both sides. Um, I don't know if I want to be able to read people's minds, but being able to control them would be nice. So I think I do want to go shapeshifting because that would be so much fun, but I do think telepathy is more useful overall. So I'm gonna go telepathy.
Okay, so yeah, tough one to go through. Interested what other people would think there. All right, next up we've got the energy constructs against the omnilingualism.
Mm.
I don't know if I'm ever going to say that right. So, your ability to create things out of energy or your ability to speak and understand every language.
Yeah, I'm gonna have.
I'd rather make things.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I mean, it's more useful.
Yeah, that's again
Yeah.
going to my same argument from the last one. That's actually a, not saying that being able to speak but I mean I can learn to speak other languages. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's what Rosetta Stone's for.
yeah. Or just get me a TARDIS, and as long as I'm exposed to the TARDIS, I have the ability to understand every language. All right. Next up, we've got our ability to control metal, the magnetism ability, or mystical prowess. So, would you rather have the ability to control metals, or would you rather have magical abilities?
Magical abilities.
Yeah, I think your ability to control metal kind of falls in that. Like, I could still do that stuff by having magical abilities. Anything that Magneto can do, I
Yeah,
could do.
you can use the magic to move this stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go magical prowess.
Yeah. All right, moving on. All right, super speed going up against matter manipulation.
I think matter manipulation. I think that's ultimately way more useful than super speed.
And you brought up broccoli into steak. I can turn my ones into tens and tens into hundreds. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
I love how a lot of the stuff we talk about it. We definitely would be super villains if
Yeah,
we had
yeah,
powers.
no, immediately. Like
Yeah.
I'd be good for like an hour, and then I'd be like, nope, that's
How can I use this for good? That got boring.
How can I use this for my
Mm.
advantage? That's what we're looking at here. All right, so I will say, both of y'all are going with matter manipulation. It's not going to be a clean sweep. I still would have gone with super speed on my part. So, but matter manipulation moves on. Next up, we got electrical manipulation versus having a healing factor.
I mean, having a healing factor, being able to regenerate is way more useful than having electrical ability. I mean, Electro, at the end of the day, is kind of the joke Spider-Man villain, depending on the writer, obviously.
Yeah.
But
I feel I would hurt loved ones with electrical powers. So yeah, I'm gonna go with healing.
Okay, again, I would have been against both of y'all. I would have said electrical manipulation, just again for the fact of I cannot think of a superhero, especially who has a healing factor who doesn't also need some other ability to be able to be effective. Wolverine still has to have his claws. Deadpool still has to be pretty much a trained ninja assassin type thing.
well, I mean, if I had in healing powers, I would probably be willing to do a lot more training. Because karate, kickboxing, boxing, like all that stuff, that hurts. I
Yeah.
don't want to do it. But if I'm got an infinite healing factor where it's not gonna hurt or it won't hurt but for a couple seconds, sure, why not? Sign me
Yeah.
up for it.
Go and crack some boards and fix that broke wrist overnight.
There you go. All right, so healing factor, we'll move on. Next up, we've got teleportation versus size changing. I'm going teleportation. I just, again, think that that's so useful and a lot more useful than just being able to get bigger or smaller. So I'm going teleportation.
I as well will be going teleportation.
Yeah, clean sweep here. Teleportation.
All right, teleportation moves on. Next up, we have invisibility versus chlorokinesis. Again, ability to control plant life.
I'm gonna kind of go with what Nicholas said. I feel like invisibility is going to make me a villain. I feel like I would just do bad things with it. So I'm gonna stick with my old answer of plant control.
I think I'm comfortable with the idea that I'd become a villain. Invisibility.
Just accepted it
I've
now.
just accepted it. It's who I am.
Good, good.
Yeah, I mean, Swamp Thing is one of my favorite characters, but I'd rather be able to be invisible. So I'm going with invisibility on that one. So invisibility moves on. And the last for this round, we've got telekinesis against enhanced senses. So move things with your mind versus having enhanced senses. I'm going to go with telekinesis.
Oh,
I think that one's a little bit more useful.
being able to move things around or really, really smell when the food goes bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go move things with my mind. I'm going telekinesis.
Yeah, telekinesis as
Justin, you got
well.
anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, as a teacher, I don't know if I want enhanced senses and have to smell those middle schoolers even
Oh,
more than they
oh,
already smell. So, yeah, telekinesis.
All right, next round, narrowing it down further, we got telepathy versus energy constructs. I'm going with energy constructs. I just find that ability so cool. So, and I'd rather do that than be able to hear people's thoughts or controls people's mind. I'd rather just be able to create something that I need at that moment with a thought.
yeah.
Hmm.
I will go with that argument. I will go energy construct as well.
Yeah, energy constructs is such a, like you said, such a creative power. You know, whatever you think of, you can come up with. So, energy construct.
All right, next up we've got mystical prowess. So again, magic against matter manipulation. Which again, I think there's some overlap in this one.
Yeah, and I think mystical prowess has got more to it than just matter manipulation. I think
Yeah.
that with mystical prowess you have matter manipulation. So I think I'm gonna go.
My my assumption would be though your matter manipulation is temporary.
Hmm. Would
That would be
would the matter
my thought.
manipulation kind of be? I'm trying to think if it was Endgame or Infinity War, where Thanos turns them into like little Legos, or
Yeah, that was him kind of messing with the reality
yeah. So would
stones.
that
That
kind of be
was
matter
yeah.
manipulation? Like I can turn you into Twizzlers for like 30
Well, no,
seconds.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, matter manipulation would be more like, hey, you're throwing this bomb at me, and then I'm gonna make the bomb turn into a marshmallow.
Hmm.
That's more matter
So
manipulation.
that's where I look at like again Scarlet Witch, who has the ability to turn somebody into a marshmallow, but also
Yeah,
has a lot of magical ability as well.
Hmm.
So
true.
that's why I'm going magical
Mystical
mystical
prowess.
prowess. Yeah.
Yeah, as they called it.
Yeah, I still think you can get that side gig at Las Vegas with mystical prowess. So I'm going with that.
All right, mystical prowess. It is. All right. So once again, our healing factor pops up. Would you rather have a healing factor or teleportation? I'm sticking with teleportation.
Hmm.
My same argument from earlier. I just don't think there's enough to healing factor, and that's my opinion.
I feel like if you were asking us this question about 10 years prior, 20 years prior, healing factor would have been off the board. But you're asking people what we're all in our 40s, 50s. So that's why it's staying on the table. But yeah, I'm going to have to go teleportation. I think it was just too fun of a power. Healing factor would, I think, get a little bit old after a while, and still you're still getting hurt. Yeah, you can heal from it, but who said how
Yeah,
quick?
but you still feel it. Yeah,
Yeah, if I'm karate
yeah,
chopping
because
boards,
Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine has even said that when you remember in the first X-Men movie, Rogue asks him, "Does it hurt when the claws come out?" And he says, "Every time."
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, teleportation would just be so much easier. Like, oh, I want to see that movie at noon. It's 11:59.
I could make it.
Done.
Didn't
Yeah.
even
You
have to
know.
buy a ticket.
All right.
Again, going for the villainy aspect of it.
Well, I am
I'm
bald
gonna
and have a
theater hop.
mustache, so there's your villain.
And then finally we've got invisibility going up against telekinesis. I'm gonna go with telekinesis. Again, I'm gonna stick with my argument of what allows me to actually be more useful. And I mean, you could make an argument for invisibility, but I just think telekinesis gives me a little bit more of a puts me more on the offense than it does necessarily on the defense.
With telekinesis, there's a chance I might actually be a superhero, where invisibility's guaranteed I'm becoming a villain. So I think I'm gonna go telekinesis. I do think that's more useful. Invisibility has such a limited range of what you can actually do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go telekinesis. I still feel like invisibility, after probably months or years of having it, I think I would get tired of it. Because, like you said, it's very defensive power. You can't
Yeah.
really, unless you're just wanting to go steal or, be in a heist movie, it would just kind of get old.
All right, we're at our final four. First up, we've got energy constructs against mystical prowess. I'm starting to think this one's not going to be able to lose. Mystical prowess, I think you have the ability to make energy constructs.
Yeah, I mean, this is where, you're right. I think the argument there is that mystical prowess seems to encompass all whatever it wants to be, really. It's like doesn't seem to be a lot of limitations. I mean, I'm sure there are depending on the writer. Everybody has a weakness somewhere, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I think I'm gonna go mystical prowess.
Yeah, I would have to say that, and I mean, like, it's Laramie, you kind of won me over. Is mystical prowess, you are able to do everything that energy constructs does. So it's kind of, encompasses all of it. So yeah, mystical prowess.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with that. Yeah, I may not necessarily be the strongest person in the fight, but I seem to have a lot of abilities if I have mystical prowess. All right, and then that's going up against teleportation versus telekinesis. So who is going up against mystical prowess in our finals? Is it teleportation or telekinesis? I'm going to stick with teleportation. Yeah, I'm going to stick with teleportation because to me with telekinesis, we've kind of made this argument with a few other things. If I'm in a location and there's nothing around me that I can pick up with my mind and throw or I could be in trouble. So
yeah, because I mean, if you're on a deserted island, there's nothing there other than sand. What are you moving? So yeah, I'm gonna go teleportation.
Yeah, teleportation. Just the ability to be like, I'm gonna go to work now and not have to wait, and like
yeah,
there's even less of an excuse to be late at that point if you can just be like, yep, and then I'm here.
No big city
yeah.
traffic.
All right, so our finals, which funny enough is right in the middle of CBR's rankings. It is CBR's 21 mystical prowess against their 22 teleportation. And I just have to make the same argument we just made. I would assume with mystical prowess, you essentially have teleportation. I'm just thinking of
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange making the sling ring and being able to make it a portal, which is no different than being able to teleport. So
and you with his ability, I don't think he has the same limitations that teleportation might have with like I have to have been able to see it or been there before.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah,
mystical prowess, you could just be like, whoop.
I want to go here, and there's all of a sudden a hole in reality.
Yeah, I think as long as you can think it, you can go there or send somebody or something there. So, yeah, I'm going to go mystical prowess as well.
All right, well, there we have it. It kind of seems unfair if you really think about it, but the best superpower, according to us here at Moving Panels, is mystical prowess. So having magical abilities. So Doctor Strange, Doctor Fate, Scarlet Witch, Zatara, her dad. All of those we think are some of the most powerful comic book characters, which we're not too far off if you really think about it. There's a lot that says how powerful those type of characters are. So, I'll let y'all have some final words here. Are y'all happy with this decision? What was it? What you thought it would be?
I didn't know where it was going to go, but once we started making arguments, this is kind of where I saw it at going.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
Starting at the starting point, I had no idea where it was going to go because I had no idea. I thought for sure you'd be pushing Superman's powers a lot more, but those went out quick. So
yeah, but see, Superman's powers individually aren't spectacular. It is the fact that he has all of them.
True.
Is what makes him
true.
Which was what our argument was here about mystical prowess, is that there's so many of the other powers that fall into this. I mean, you got the teleportation. With mystical prowess, you could make yourself invisible. You could do some matter manipulation. You could do some elemental manipulation. There's so much of the other powers that you would have by being a sorcerer or just, again, having that magical ability.
Yeah, this kind of being my first, actually my first bracket. Normally when I listen to y'all, I hear, this, best movies of the 90s, or I just finished the Stan Lee cameo episode the other day. And normally when I see what's on the bracket, I'm like, oh, yeah, those are going to be in the final four. And I even wrote down all the powers, and I was like, I have no idea what's going to be, in this final four or elite eight. And it's kind of like what Nick said is, the classic superpowers, invisibility, flight, a lot of those out within the first couple of rounds. But it's kind of magical. Prowess is just, it's got everything. It's the bee's knees.
Well, I'm sure there's people out there that disagree with us, and if you do, let us know. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what your thoughts are. Did we get it wrong? Hey, you could make a good argument, because that was the other great thing, is as we talked, I think the arguments we either came up with on our own or we heard from each other kind of swayed our thoughts. So let us know what you think. But we'll go ahead and wrap things up today. Thank you, Justin, for joining me on your first bracket.
Thanks for having me.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
And as always, Nicholas, the bracket master, I'm sure you will be back probably very soon for yet another bracket.
Oh, I'm always willing to do a bracket.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Rate and review the show. We'll go ahead and wrap things up today. 4 moving panels. I'm Laramy Wells, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.